I'm going to show you how to embed a trim band into a straight regular wrap. When you do this, the trim band needs to be the same diameter as your running thread. Since I'm using D size running thread here, I need a thicker trim band. If you're using A thread, you need to use an A size trim thread. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is get the wrap started just like we did before. Put it over the top of that and then catch it with about 5 wraps of thread. Same as before, you have to maintain tension up here. And sometimes you have to tighten that a little bit. Just a little gapping. So I'm going to pack the air out of that. Go around. Now on the opposite side, I'm going to take my trim thread. I'm going to slide it in and then start to cover it with wraps. Now I'm putting a little more pressure because I want those wraps to be pretty tight. So in addition to the weight of the counterweight tool, I'm adding the weight of my hand to it as I bring this up. Now I'm ready to get rid of the tag end of the running thread. And then take a wrap or two to cover that little bitty nub. At this point, I want this thread down here. I'm going to take my trim thread and cross the running thread and lash down the running thread. There's one wrap. Here's a second wrap. We're going to take 3 wraps. At this point, I'm holding tension with this finger. Put the tensioning device on here because I have to unwrap the running thread 3 wraps. Then I'm going to cross back over the trim thread with the running thread and lash it down. Again, changing the counterweight and adding a little more pressure. That slipped. Every once in a while that little device slips on me if I don't get it exactly the right spot. Now I've covered 2 or 3 wraps over the tag end of the trim. I can now cut this off and put my tie-off thread in. And then wrap. Until I get the same number of wraps over here as I had over there. Some people count wraps, and I used to count wraps when I first got started. Now I generally eyeball it. With D-size thread, it's less wraps because it's so much thicker. With A-size thread, I'm not counting to 100 to get that many. So we're going to cut this. Take that up and drop it through. And pull this tight. Cut it off just like we have on all the others. At this point, we're going to cut off the 2 tag ends. I do that by cutting it from the back side of the threads. You have to lay this double edge razor blade right on it and then just punch it. You don't saw, You want to just nip it off. Then if there is anything sticking up, you can either burnish it out like this. That works better with A thread than it does with B. Or bury it with the very tip of your bodkin. That's an embedded trim band.